My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? Come on, tell me, baby. In the pond, where the sun don't ever shine. I wish you would.
All right, let's do this. Hey, beer's clinking.
Beer here?
Welcome to the Old Fashioned Hollywood Podcast, episode 4. Mm-hmm. Yes, we will return to drinking old fashions. I think next episode we'll do that. We'll find a
that's Scotch drink.
We'll find I'll find like a premium whiskey or Scotch or something. And maybe like feature a different one each episode.
I don't hate them. It just takes me like after one they're good. At the beginning, it's just like I'm drinking tree bark. It's just bitter. Like I think beer is like that, honestly. Do you think beer is naturally good, or do you think you have to acquire it? Because I think if you're just, it's kind of like fucking, dude, we're always like, oh, beer's great, I love beer. Well, we're fucking all in our 30s and stuff. Like, we got there. But, like, if you've never had it, you try lemonade, good. You try beer, you're like, you guys are crazy.
It's definitely, like, beer, coffee, those are definitely acquired tastes. When you're, like, a kid and you try them, you're like, oh, my God, this is the worst thing I've ever had.
I wonder if we brainwashed ourselves into thinking something bitter and something that makes you want to gag tastes great. Like,
right.
Just
yeah,
keep doing it.
There's a lot of stuff like that. A lot of like certain vegetables and foods you eat that are
okay. Speaking of that, real quick before we get into our topics, I have made over the last maybe 5 or 6 years, I've been trying to fucking eat every food I hate and just like add a little bit of it into my food until I didn't hate it anymore. Okay. And I can eat anything now. I don't hate any food that I can name. There might be something I don't know about.
Have you tried cat litter?
Yeah, of course. That was the first thing I did. No, I can't. I just did Brussels sprouts at Stella Barra. I can't. Like, I ate 2. I just have to follow each bite with some kind of liquid. And it's like, I got over onions, dude. I got over everything. And I started to like all those things. Yeah. But Brussels sprouts, I can't fucking do it.
You know,
it makes me want to gag.
Yeah, well, if internet can correct me if I'm wrong, but Brussels sprouts and cilantro are 2 things that you will either like or dislike based on your genetics. There's actually certain, I don't know if it's like an enzyme or something where some people don't like the taste of Brussels sprouts or cilantro. Yeah. And it's like a genetic thing.
Because like I said, I got over onions, sweet potatoes, everything. I was just like, it's a mental thing. Just you learn to like it, and I did. I started to love it.
Yeah. But and it makes some people gag. It really does. Makes them.
It does make me gag. It's funny because my parents thought it was hilarious when I was a kid. You know, it's funny. We'll get into our topic here in a minute. But when we were grocery shopping, my mom's gone now. When I was a kid, I remember we'd be bringing the groceries in from the car outside, and I would take the Brussels sprouts, the frozen ones, when she was outside getting more, and I'd put them in the trash at the bottom.
Nice.
And just fucking everything. And one day she finally figured it out, and she told that story forever, man. She was always like, "Yeah, I finally figured out where our Brussels sprouts are going." When she was taking the trash out one day, I would bury them too, so there was no evidence whatsoever.
Yeah. My mom used to make. Sorry, Mom, but she used to take frozen spinach, and we were like a very meat and potatoes kind of family.
Yeah, so were
right?
we. Yeah.
And so she would take the frozen block spinach and just like steam it or boil it and just do nothing to it, just heat it up and just and it's like we put salt on the table, we put it on but it's just this like lump of slimy spinach that goes cold in like 22 seconds. So it's I guess tolerable if it's hot and you're like eating it with other things or something.
I love spinach. I don't know why.
I love fresh spinach. I cook with it all the time and I put it in foods, but to eat this like frozen boiled or steamed spinach was the worst thing in the world. And if you didn't eat it right away, then it got cold, and it was even worse once it was cold. And and we were definitely that.
I always hated I always liked vegetables. I hated when they were cooked. It just grossed me out. They got mushy.
Yeah, like carrots. I like raw carrots, but I don't like the cooked carrots. Exactly. Cooked carrots are so gross.
I hate cooked carrots. They're so fucking gross.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. We're not here to talk about carrots. This isn't the carrot
there's
podcast.
2 people left.
Yeah, right. We're here to talk about Hollywood. Yeah.
Actually, so Scott Baker's film came out recently.
Mm-hmm. The Fifth Passenger is out. Yeah.
And I see a stack of DVDs next to me.
Yeah. We got all the stuff for our Kickstarter backers. So we.
Cool. I know enough about film to not ask people for a free copy of their DVD like everybody asks me all the fucking time when they see something. But anyway, there have been some rough reviews.
Yeah, there have. Thanks for bringing that up,
primarily on
Dave. Thanks for twisting the knife and pouring salt in the wound, man.
Well, my question was, do you wish you'd made a good film?
Yeah,
No,
that's
I'm
really
just- No, but I was going to talk about or ask you just about. Sorry, I'll let you talk in a minute. I was just let me preface it because I was kidding.
It would be great if I got at least like 40%.
No, and that's it this week, folks. No, I was going to say, there were a lot of like highly rated things on IMDb at the beginning. Like I think there were a lot of like reviews with like tens and stuff, and then like as soon as the film was released, that those got hammered. And I'm of the belief that your reviews aren't as bad as you think they are. It's just IMDb was under attack,
right?
But I think the other places are doing okay. It seems like to me.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of components to this, you know. I think one is because our film was crowdfunded. What we did was we released the film ahead of time to the crowdfunding backers and got them an opportunity to watch the film because they were the ones who put up a big chunk of the money and made the film possible. So we definitely wanted to do that. And then we encouraged them to go on and leave reviews. We at no point were like, hey, go on there and give it a 10-star review and write the most glowing review. Everybody that I talked to was like, hey, just be honest. Just put down what you felt about the film, whether you liked it or hated it. Just be honest. Give it a review because then that gives us more momentum going forward. And if you did like it, if it gets the positive reviews, then that helps us later on down the line. So a lot of our Kickstarter backers and the early viewers of the film are people who were kind of predisposed to like the film. They were the people that we made the film for.
We had the same thing with Brandywine in that regard. Like I could always see those 10 ratings, and I was always like, stop. You know what I mean? It always scared me because I thought we were going to come under attack when I'd see it on iTunes or Amazon.
Yeah.
Are we still okay there?
No, yeah, we're great.
We had an audio.
I was putting the windscreen on so that when I'm talking, it doesn't get as much of the keys and the pops.
So you're not as annoying.
We're still working out the kinks, but I think this is going to be a good episode as far as audio quality. We got like
I think so too. We got a new mic.
So,
yeah.
But we'll await your feedback on that. But so a lot of the early people that watched the film went on IMDb and iTunes and Amazon and whatnot and gave it really good reviews because they enjoyed the film. Like I said, they were the people who we made the film for. So of course they loved the film. Right?
Yeah, because they have a passionate, like a kind of a connection to it.
Yeah,
which I'll talk about later.
And that's why they donated to Kickstarter because they knew this is the kind of film I'm going to like. And they liked the film, and so they gave it really good reviews. So a lot of other people, who just came to the film because they saw it was a science fiction film, or there's some Star Trek actors they like, or whatever reason they came to the film, maybe they had really high expectations about what they were going to see, and they felt disappointed that it didn't meet those high expectations, or they had legitimate gripes about the film. I know it's not a perfect film. I know there's a million things that we could have done better with it. And so, I got a whole lot of one-star reviews, got a whole lot of people saying, oh, this is the worst film I've ever seen, and don't waste your time, and I feel sorry for people who were involved in this film.
Do you know what I find interesting that I just thought of is a person who's, I make films, but I'm an outsider when it comes to your sci-fi / Star Trek world. I remember when we were all sitting at dinner, where were we? We'd been at some convention or festival or something. We were sitting with like all the guys, all your buddies and stuff. Where were we? Damn, we just left. Oh, I think it was after Comic-Con, the LA Comic-Con.
Oh, okay.
And we'd gone out, and I'm sitting at this table with Scott, and I'm just your friends' names are slipping my mind. The guy who wrote the book, Matt.
Oh yeah, Matt Hunt.
And the actor, Fedora.
EJ?
Yeah, we were all sitting there together, and I'm sitting there, and there's probably like 7 of you guys sitting all around me, writers, creators, filmmakers, all fans of sci-fi stuff, and you guys are all like, debating passionately about like a Star Trek episode, like the Triples or something. Something that like I remember sitting there, and I remember just being like, whoa, like this is. Like, I'm a fan, I'm a nerd, but I was like, holy shit, like, they're talking about something so minute, and everyone's got a fucking... And I looked at you, and you smirk at me like I saw like, Larry's not in his world right now. I just grinned at you. But that passion from this kind of fan base is what helped you get your film made to begin with. But then they are that passionate still when it comes to like how they're going to feel about it when it's done. So it's almost like Star Wars fans right now.
Yeah,
how they're just
and Star Trek
highs and lows. There's
Sure.
no fucking even keel. There's
and
everything's
that's
the worst thing ever or the best thing ever.
Yeah, and that's really what I've noticed going through the reviews, and I think it's an interesting phenomenon what goes on with like the internet and reviews, and I think there's definitely the human psychology element of if you really like something or if you really hate something, that's what's going to make you go and leave a review. Like,
absolutely, I think that's true. That's true outside of film, though.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
You go
on Yelp and you look at restaurant reviews.
I mean, you don't go to a dentist, but I'm saying if you ever went to a dentist, I'm just people are driven to either complain or to congratulate if it was really bad or really good. And if they're like, it was okay, it lived up to my expectations, and I like that. That's not going to drive somebody to go and leave a review for something. I read an article that said we're living in meh culture, like where everything's either meh, like it sucks, or it's like greatest thing ever. It's like that's just where we're at.
For sure. And I mean, as an artist, that's difficult to deal with. I mean, this was a project that we spent the better part of 6 years to put together. I put my blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, since I've known you, literally, at the point I met you, you had already been working on it for a year or two.
Yeah, and so everything I had, I put into this film, and then to read somebody put a review that
it
says,
means nothing to them.
Yeah,
it was just 2 hours of their life,
right?
And then they go on.
But
to
it was like 2 hours that they felt they had wasted, and $9 watching the film, and they say, I feel sorry for everybody involved, or they're like everything about this film was terrible. There was nothing redeeming.
There's something so interesting to hear that I'm intrigued by beyond Fifth Passenger, and we'll talk about the James Gunn firing stuff in a little bit, but. I'll try to say it quickly, but long story short, I've kind of like James Gunn and I would talk sometimes before he got real big with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, because we knew each other through Lloyd with Trauma, and I watched him go from, as I was telling you earlier, this edgy, rebellious, fuck the machine, do it your way kind of. It was almost like either it's real and it's true, or it's just part of the machine and it's complete nonsense. To when he became part of the machine, now he's working at Disney, he's making the Guardians movies, he's doing great. Now everything's about, we should be more positive, and guys, a lot of work goes into these movies, and he starts defending things that aren't very good.
Right.
And but that's understandable, because as you're saying, like, you're part of this team that makes this film. Like, I get that. Like, I've been there. And so, yeah, I mean, you put years and years of your life into something, and it does hurt for someone to just walk by and go, yeah, that sucked. And then they just keep walking. They're like walking by a shop window.
Right.
Nah, that's a stupid toy. And you're like, fuck, that took 10 years to build that toy. But at the same time, and I'm not trying to stir shit, but I'm thinking about it in my own way. Like, at the same time, that's almost the weird. That's what we do too with other people's stuff.
Yeah. I find myself I do that, and and I think that's a thing as I'm going through this process of going back and reevaluating how I felt about other people's work, and I think I've done films. This isn't my first film; it's my first budgeted feature film.
Right.
But I've done other short films that have gotten good reception and things like that. But I've never done a project that's gotten this
magnitude.
That got public reach and thousands and thousands of people that had no connection to me are seeing this thing.
It's pretty exciting,
and
man. Reviews aside, it's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, and I feel a great sense of accomplishment just having done the film and that we got distribution and it got out there. But I think there's soul searching that goes along with it because it's a whole new experience having to deal with this, and I think even if all the reviews came back positive, there's still something to deal with it in that sense. But as an artist, you put yourself out there and you say, hey, this is I put my balls on the table and here we are. This is the thing I made.
You put your balls on the chopping block.
Right. Yeah.
There's that old quote. Fuck, I wish you remembered. It was a president about. Oh God, I'm going to look it up right now while we're talking. Right. Actually, let me ask you this though, while I'm looking this up: have the reviews and the response to your film scared you away from making more?
No.
Or how have they changed how you might approach it? Does it put a dent in your confidence, or do you just go fuck that?
It definitely does. It definitely does. I mean, what? Okay, so. there's definitely a part of me that says, okay, am I really a competent filmmaker, right? Like I went into this project having done a whole bunch of smaller things, thinking, okay, I can handle this like bigger project. So am I an effective storyteller? Am I an effective director? Like writer? All those things. Like, can I effectively tell a story? And there's a part of me that like questions that. Because of this, I think if and it's all a matter of magnitude, right? I mean, if 99% of the reviews were good and there was a handful of people that didn't like the film,
right, then
I think it wouldn't bother me at all, and it wouldn't hurt my confidence. But I feel this film has been so polarizing where it's almost like 50-50. It's almost like half the people are giving it 10 stars and half the people are giving it 1 star.
It's so polarized. It's
and
unbelievable.
It's so weird.
It's like a dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, and a friend of mine, John Klein, who's a filmmaker who did Once Upon a Superhero, which is a crazy
which I really
film.
liked. I was telling John, like, dude, that's solid, man. That was really cool.
And so he said to me, but you didn't make those. You didn't make the film for those people, and
I agree 100%.
And that's what it is. It's like every film has an audience. You go, Shape of Water won the Academy Award last year for Best Film, and you go on the reviews on that thing on IMDb, and it's gotten
I've soured on it a little bit.
It has so many 1-star reviews of people saying this is the worst piece of trash I've ever seen, and I think it's back to that internet culture where it's not necessarily trolls, but it's partly that, but it's also like people get off on that, like writing the bad review.
Of course,
right? Like there's something
dude,
fun.
you get to fucking look. Life doesn't let you walk down the street and punch someone in the face. You're tired. Life is stressful. It's hard. The one way of venting you don't get is unleashing on somebody without accountability, unless you're reviewing something they put out there. Then you can fucking pummel to death and you can go crazy on it. You know what I mean? Or you can live vicariously through it if you found it as an escape from your woes. They're using art as an escape. I feel like it's either this, oh, sweet, this was an awesome ride, I'm going to ride it again and again. Or it's going to be, I'm going to punch the fuck out of this thing every time. But either way, they're going to use it to get away from life. To vent somehow. Yeah.
And Our film was really low budget for the type of film we're making. There's no doubt about that we had very little resources to make the kind of ambitious film that we were making.
Right.
But I never wanted that to be an excuse. I never wanted people to watch the film and say, well, for the budget and the resources they had,
you never want that in your review. I think that when you get a positive one, with Brandywine too, hey, for the budget, this was pretty good. I'm like, that's our job is to make them stop talking about the fucking budget.
I just want them to watch the movie and either and enjoy it and feel something.
I think we're right for that to be our goal, but I also think people are conditioned by $50 and $100 movies. They're never going to stop seeing low budget. Anything below $5 million, $2 million is going to look low budget, it does to people.
Well, and especially sci-fi and stuff like that. Where, I mean, if we had the kind of money we had and we were making a movie that took place in a house with actors who were wearing jeans and t-shirts.
You tackled something pretty ambitious.
But that wasn't what I was trying to do in that sense.
I always like this quote. Let me read it.
Okay.
God, it sounds like I'm fucking self-help. I'm not doing it like that. But I always used to love this quote. I thought it was dramatic but cool. It was Teddy Roosevelt.
Okay.
It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know victory nor defeat.
Wow.
I love it, man. I know
that
that
was
cheesy.
that was President Trump.
That was me. I was just winging it. Yeah, no, it was President Trump. Yeah, yeah.
So,
That was actually Jim Varney, Ernest P. Worrell, Ernest Goes to Camp. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, and the whole fight analogy, is
Dude, it's filmmaking. It's being in a band. We talked about it before.
Right,
like
right,
everyone
yeah.
else working a 9 to 5. I am. Let's not.
Yeah.
I'm not getting myself in trouble, but
Okay.
my hours are pretty free right now. But what I'm saying is like everyone's playing it. They're not playing it safe. Their life is hard.
Sure,
they're raising
sure.
their kids. They're mouthy teenagers are having sex at 13. They're scared. They have bills. But like they're not rolling. Like you said, you put everything for 6 or 7 years into one project, one dare, one.
Right.
That's that quote, man. And
Yeah,
I know we're not going to war. It's not
Right.
like we're gonna fucking getting shot at. But it's a gamble. It's precarious.
Well,
you have to love what you're doing.
Yeah,
You have to be bold.
There was one review. I'm sure it was many reviews said this, but one was like, why do these producers go and make these bad movies? Which
They don't set out to make
exactly and that was my first thought. It's like, well, I was trying to make a good movie. I was trying to make something that people enjoyed, and it's like it comes back to that fight analogy, right? It's like, well, why did that guy go in there and get his ass whooped? Well, he didn't go into the fight.
What's funny? Actually, I was down on CM Punk, the wrestler, being an MMA fighter. But now after thinking about what we're talking about and thinking about that quote, I'm like, the guy's getting in there, man.
Yeah.
Like he's got no reason to believe he's not going to get his ass beat, and he's in front of everybody.
Yeah.
He's already famous and rich.
Yeah,
all
he doesn't
has
need
to
it.
do, he just has pride to lose now, or fame, or like people making fun of him as he walks down the street, and he's fucking risking that.
Yeah.
To go do something.
Yeah.
Like nobody could have made fun of him before, but now they've got you've gotten your ass beat. Like, and he went in there knowing that could happen, and that it makes you look at everything differently. Hopefully, I think, yeah.
But and it's it really is a minor miracle that any film gets done
Finished,
and,
yeah.
it's and again, that's not like what I want people to consider when they go in and like rate films. It should be that visceral thing. Did I get the film? Did I enjoy the film? Did it take me to where the film was trying to take me to? And was the story told convincing and things like that? Is what you're trying to do.
Do you struggle to? Do you have a hard time looking at the film as somebody who didn't work on it?
Oh yeah, it's completely impossible. I mean,
I had times where I could, and then
like,
times where I could, and I could never. Your brain goes back and forth all the
yeah,
time.
I
You
mean,
know what
I did so much of the post production on it that it's hard for me now to go back because it's just a collection of frames. It's not even like a collection of scenes. It's like a collection of frames.
Yeah,
like,
you just know
so
every. I feel like
disjointed,
I'd seen so much of it before the time it came out. I was
Right,
like,
right.
oh yeah, I've seen that scene of this. Never in this order.
Right,
I was like,
right.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how the monster works. Yeah.
But back to your earlier question about like has it like dissuaded me
Yeah.
or I mean like I said it definitely has like dented my confidence. It hasn't dissuaded me because I feel like deep down I am an artist. I am a filmmaker. This is like
Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's obviously up for debate, right? I in the sense of
I'm a
like
good guy, right, guys?
in
All right,
my
Scott.
heart what I want to do with my life and where my passion and like fulfillment comes from. I came into filmmaking very late.
Well, late. I mean, you say very late because you weren't a fucking 20-year-old.
I was already in my 30s.
But
when
you're
I said,
41, right?
Yeah, I'm 41 now.
I mean,
yeah.
that's not an
but
old
I mean,
man.
But for like many people who go to film school and come out and they're like 24
Fair enough, yeah.
and they're
Do you see these young directors like 27 making a feature film? Like, who do you know?
right.
How the fuck? Even if you're amazing,
Right.
How
yeah.
did you get that shot?
So, and I came at it after doing teaching and doing like social work kind of things, and always had this nagging in the back of my mind that like I want to be a filmmaker and this is what I do, and I can't live with that regret that I haven't followed my passion.
Well,
and so I said I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go to LA and I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna do it. And if
and now
I
we
crash
all have
and
to
burn,
pay for it by watching the damn things.
right,
Thanks,
right.
Scott.
Yeah. And
Jesus.
this is the result. And I said to myself, hey, if I crash and burn and I don't succeed, then I can always go back to teaching or these other things that I could do. And I feel like Fifth Passenger has been a success to a certain degree that enough that I feel like I can continue to move forward and progress as a director.
Yeah, man.
Make
There's still
bigger
so
and
much to
better
take out of
things.
it. I'm not blowing smoke. I wouldn't say things I don't
Right.
think were true. There's so much to take out of it positive. I mean, it's an accomplishment. And listen, I can watch that film. Look, I'm just not a sci-fi guy. Like, but I know I can watch that and go, somebody's going to be obsessed with this. I feel that way about Brandywine. I really
Right.
do. Like, and I know they are. I have weird people. Well, I shouldn't say weirdos. But I've had people come
There are
up.
some weirdo losers out there that are really going to love your film, Larry. It's,
What do you make your stuff for? The pieces of shit. No. But I've had people come up to me, and like it's for them, man. It's been mostly decent reviews on everything, but
Yeah,
you know your audience.
Yeah. I've had people that have messaged me and said, like, this is one of the best sci-fi films I've seen in a long time. I really enjoyed it. Oh, this was awesome. And I know that there are people that genuinely liked the film. And like I said, I feel like we did a good job at hitting the people that the film was made for. And, but, it's still, it's tough. And how much of the like negative reviews, like I said, is that psychology of it's the worst thing ever, best thing ever. I think that's a big part of it, and
man.
I think that's so much of what we deal with, because like obviously, like as harsh as I can be to my own film, I don't think I could ever give it a 1. Like maybe I could give it
a 1.
Like
that's like not tipping the waiter. I mean, at all. Unless
yeah,
you did something
I've seen.
terrible.
I used to work for this really small third-rate distributor that sucked.
I remember some of the-
and I don't
some of
mind.
the
I don't mind
trailers you showed
speaking
me.
bad about this piece of shit because he like owes me a lot of money for work I did.
Yeah.
But I would
motherfucker.
Yeah, I would take these films that he would give me and put them on DVD, and I mean, these things were 1-star movies. These were movies that it was like they didn't use lighting and they just used the microphone that was on the camera, and it was like, I mean, these were some of the
It's like
worst
when we started
films.
with our sketches and shit when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, the camera just like accidentally was pointing at the right thing, and so I'm, like I said, I went through and I looked at like Shape of Water to see what kind of negative feedback. There are people giving that 1 star. Like as bad as you can say about that film, it's not a 1-star
it's fucking,
film.
you can't call it a 1-star
I
film.
mean,
You're just being.
it looked incredible on the
people,
the sound and the music
It's
and
such
the
a
costumes.
weird time. Everybody's so dramatic right now.
Yeah. So,
But one of the sad moments was, I don't know, did we go see a movie? It was me. I was with Kristen or Melinda. I can't remember who. And then we met up with you in Hollywood, and you just seemed down.
Oh yeah, that was when we went and saw. Sorry to bother you.
And you had just started getting your.
Yeah,
you just started reading the negative reviews.
That was like the day after the film came out.
I went to like part ways on the sidewalk as we both walked back towards our places, and I felt so bad. I was like, "What can I say?" Yeah, it sucks, man. But that's. Like, I guess if anybody can take anything away from this, I hope, without sounding preachy or anything, that people realize that, like, we said it a million times. You spent how many years? 7 years on this? Somebody's fucking passion you're looking at. And I just popped like crazy. Let's say it again. That was someone's passion you're looking at. We'll leave both in.
Deep into your passion.
I wonder, though, man, because you talk about those movies that you've seen get distributed and that you would call a 1-star movie. I've seen films that I suspected were not somebody's passion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And everyone might have had a good time.
Right.
But I've seen movies where I'm like, nobody cared. Mm-hmm. And you can tell with Fifth Passenger people care. You can there's a heart there. Like there's an earnestness that it's real. This is a film you're watching. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wonder if maybe sometimes there are films that are made that it's okay to be. It's almost like, okay, if you're not going to try, then we're not going to fucking pull our punches either. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
Well, I say, watch Fifth Passenger. It's on Redbox, iTunes, Amazon, VOD streaming. You can order DVDs and Blu-rays at fifthpassenger.com and leave reviews. Hit us up here at the podcast or on the Fifth Passenger social media or any of those things. And I'm at this point now where I'm over the bad reviews. So like one more bad review it's gonna change my mind. But
I am damn proud of Scott and all of you people who worked on it. Some of you are like my social media friends, and some of you aren't. But you all did a solid job.
I just at this point, it's like just, I continually want people to watch it and they give their feedback and if only 3 out of 10 people like the film, that's that to me is still a success, because it's there's a segment of the population that the film connects with and reaches. So
Connected right to the inside of my trash can, I'll tell you that.
right, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I do want a DVD copy. That'd be cool. Well, all right. Well, let's
let's
not everybody's depressed and we're being downers.
No.
Okay, I have another topic. We talked about James Gunn a minute ago. I don't know if you're aware. I mean, you knew he'd been fired from Disney, right?
Yeah, I heard, but I didn't even bother to look at what his tweet was.
Why don't you Google James Gunn tweets? I think one was he was coming up with movie titles that are suddenly less appealing or something, and he said 3 men and a baby they had sex with.
Hold on, let me pull it up here. Let's see.
Okay, you pull it up.
James.
While you're doing that, you want me to just sing or something?
Tweet.
If I dance, I can't see it.
James Gunn tweets. Where are they? James Gunn Twitter.
He's looking up James Gunn tweets. Meanwhile, we're talking to some of our more interesting friends about coming on.
Right, here we go.
Fabiola's texting me right now saying, yes, I have lots to say.
She has lots to say. Does anyone
I believe you, you Salvi chick.
I like when little boys touch me in my silly place.
Scott, we're live.
Yeah, this was a James Gunn tweet. Yeah. Another read, the best thing about being raped is when you're done being raped and it's like, phew, this feels great not being raped.
Okay. One was about having sex with the little boy next to him and stuff.
Oh.
I mean, it's tasteless stuff.
I was a decade ago.
But he made these tweets like 10 years ago or something, and he apologized years ago.
I've regretted them. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like,
Did you, okay, before we jump into that, let's say this. Did you think that Roseanne being fired was reasonable?
Well, okay, so this is the thing. This is the thing. I think in the broad, just first to get it out of the way, at no point in any of these types of things is anybody's First Amendment rights being trampled upon.
Well, yeah.
I'm not of that crowd that says, "Oh, well, Roseanne or whoever, they're losing their First Amendment right." You have the right.
You're only losing your right if they come arrest you.
Right. Yeah, you have the right to say whatever you want to say, and your employer can fire you if they think what you're saying is a liability to their bottom line. That's their fiduciary responsibility. Is if they think you're a liability to them, and that you're going to hurt the bottom line, to fire you. They're in the wrong if they don't fire you, because like it or not, a corporation has one goal and one goal only, and that's to make money.
Right.
And if they think that you're threatening that, then they have a responsibility to fire you. In no way is anybody's First Amendment rights, and anything you say, just like you have the freedom to say anything, people have the right to respond to what you say and criticize you. And if you're being a racist or a sexist or a dumbass,
let's say it this way:
people have the right to call you out on that, and that's not an infringement on your freedom of speech either.
If you think it's so important to your freedom that you have the right to not make a cake for a gay couple, or not let a Muslim into your business or your establishment, but you get fucking mad when somebody makes a joke about Muslims and gets fired, you're an asshole. You are a hypocritical asshole.
Right.
But let me say... Oh, go ahead. I think we might all be hypocrites on this one. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I think just in that sense, I just wanted to clear that air out about whether Disney or ABC had infringed upon these people's freedoms of speech by letting them go, and no way do I believe that. But then that gets back to, should they have fired him for that?
These were made, again, for context, like 10 years, 10 years ago, and he apologized since.
So they're making a calculation. Hey, is this something that people are going to boycott his films or not want to work with him, or it's going to reflect badly on us? And that's something that they're making an internal calculation, but that's obviously based on the culture where we're at right now.
Yeah.
What does the culture say right now, that if you have a tweet from 10 years ago that says something, I didn't even hear about the backlash. I mean, was there a backlash to the tweets and then he got fired?
I think what it was is he was defending, there's an actor, I can't remember who it was, I think he's from that fantasy football show, The League. If I could be totally wrong about that. There's an actor who's been kind of posting some Trumpish stuff lately.
Okay.
And there was a lot of backlash against him, if I'm not mistaken. And then James Gunn, who's a great, everyone likes him, is kind of like me, very like high horse social media guy, always chimes in, always writes a fucking novel about whatever's going on that day. He kind of came in and swooped in, and then somebody, I think it was some right-wing guy, with not the best history of his own of making rape jokes and stuff, came in and goes, oh yeah, well that's funny because look at all this.
Yeah, look at all this shit that you said.
Yeah, I believe that was exactly how, or more or less how it went down.
But then that's the thing is like, was there like
there wasn't even time for a backlash.
Right,
he was gone, dude.
Yeah, and that was the thing. That's all I heard. I got like a notification on my phone that was like James Gunn fired for controversial tweets or something like that, and I was like, I didn't even hear what the tweets were. That there was like, I mean,
he just said he really liked that Fifth Passenger movie, and they're like, you're out of here, pal. You sick son of a bitch.
There's like plenty of people that this sort of
like
thing goes on.
Worried about him getting killed in prison.
Something comes up and they like discuss it for a week, and then after like a week and a half somebody gets fired for this thing. So I mean, I don't know the timeline on these events. I think man, it's tough. It's tough to say.
There's a giant thing going around right now. I'm blanking out to get him reinstated.
Oh yeah, like a
how am I not thinking of that word?
Petition,
yeah. It's a petition going around. I guess it's got like 300,000 signatures in the first few days. So
right, and I think
so. Maybe it won't hurt their business, and they can bring him back in.
Yeah.
But then won't that be creepy if one day we only fire somebody with this statement they make because they might hurt business at this company, but this company's fine if Howard Stern says this because that's just his like, you know what I'm saying? Like, isn't it? Won't be a weird thing when we're like, you're cool with the rape jokes, but you over there, buddy, this is Mattel. You need to stop it. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be a weird dynamic.
I think there's a couple different avenues of this to explore. One is time. I mean, kids and teenagers and younger people say things. Insensitive and inflammatory things because they're young. I'm not talking about him. Specifically.
We all test the fences. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. You try this, it doesn't work. You learn why it didn't work. You stop. Right. But if somebody comes and cuts your head off every time you fucking make a mistake, none of us are left.
And so I think that's something that's worth thinking about too. Is like, well, somebody said something so many years ago. When they were younger and they like exploring and they were doing whatever, like they were in a different place, different responsibilities. That's something to consider. And then also like how fast our culture changes as far as like what things are okay to joke about. And it's like, oh, well, slavery was never okay. Okay, well, yeah, sure. Slavery was never okay. And, being racist against black people was never really okay.
No, right.
In the universal sense. Dude, it was socially acceptable.
More
in certain
relatable
circles.
is saying even 20 years ago, they're calling gay people FAG in every movie.
Right.
And now if you do it, you're fired.
Oh, well, the thing, I mean, or even...
But those people are still here. They're just like 50 years old. Like, those actors are still here.
I mean, when I was up until, well after I was in college, people used gay as like, oh man, that's totally gay.
Yeah,
like if something wasn't cool, like, or if it was if it was a bad movie, that movie was totally gay.
Yeah.
And I used that. I mean, it was stuff that I never put on Twitter.
It's a weird time because I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to justify making rape jokes. But I've been to the Comedy Store at night, and we're in the crowd, and everybody's had a few beers, and those people will try everything. They're making abortion jokes. They're making gay jokes. They're making Muslim jokes. Right. And the idea is shock value. The idea is that they're pushing what they know they're not supposed to say.
And you're trying to be offensive.
That's what I say. This is what I find hypocritical. You're right. A lot of us play cards against humanity.
Right.
And if we're declaring that somebody should be fired for making jokes, and then we make them on a Saturday night around a quiet table like that, or any time like that. Sure. Listen, guys, I'll be honest. Like, I spend so much time reading about, speaking about with other people, racism, against homophobia, stuff like that.
Right.
But I do make jokes to Scott, to friends, one-on-one, quietly, where I pretend to be racist or I pretend to be homophobic, or we just say something that's like totally out of line, and We both laugh because, that's not how we think.
Right.
Yeah, that's how dumb people sound.
But
if somebody heard that,
fun.
then all of a sudden I'm making a racist. It's context. Like humor is a gray area to me.
Right.
Because we have to be able to push boundaries and we have to be able to satirize, to joke about things. Humor is a gray area. To me.
And that's the thing. And I think context is big.
Yeah.
If you're
when you tap, it's boom boom. Just
okay. Context can be something. Oh, you're just making a joke on Twitter. Or you're making a joke with friends. Versus, I'm making potentially sexist or otherwise offensive joke in a workplace.
Right.
And it's like and that's
it becomes an HR nightmare too. I mean.
Yeah, and that becomes two different things completely.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
So
It's a different context.
if you're out with your buddies and you're joking around and you're being that sort of like locker room humor about like women or whatever it is, I mean, that's maybe it's not culturally.
I'm scared to sound. I don't want to sound like the ignorant white guy who acts like he's a victim because I'm not one.
Right.
But I will say this. I'm trying to live my life in a way that is consistent with these values. Don't sexually harass in the workplace. Don't take for granted the struggles that minorities go through. Understand you have privileges they don't have. Even when your fellow whites argue, well, we're not privileged. The other day, a black guy made fun of me. Like, look, you don't understand what the fuck we're talking about. But at the same time, I'm scared because I want to focus so hard on being good at that. And when I say I know people who agree with me, and this is we're trying to figure this out. I want to be so good at that, but at the same time, I don't want to be so afraid of calling out a hypocrisy or an inconsistency that we're doing or guilty of without people going, oh, right, okay, Mr. White Guy. Like if you go, wait a minute, that guy should be allowed to at least joke or push the envelope a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I'm afraid that it's like George Carlin would never exist. Do you want to take that away? Do you want to take away like a lot of progress came about because we made fun of this shit,
right?
You know what I mean? Or we push boundaries, and that is something that scares me now. And it's a hard time. It's a strange time. It's not a hard time. It's a hard time to figure out.
Right.
I think if you want to be progressive, especially being in the body of a white man. I'm like, I want to be progressive, but sometimes I see things that I go, wait, but I know you guys are liberals, but I think you're being assholes.
Right.
Oh, yeah, well, that's because you're this. No, I just think objectively you're being assholes, or you're being unfair, or you're too trigger happy. You just want to shoot. You just want to tear something down real fast.
Yeah. And to take one, to take one comment or like a series of comments or tweets or one aspect of somebody, and put that into everything that person is.
Right.
And I mean. It's so to come back to James Gunn, like, is his Twitter history something that reflects on who he is now as a person?
No, and I don't think so.
Who he is now as a director, and then things that he's doing.
Right.
And is there room for somebody to say, hey, yeah, I said some offensive and insensitive things when I was younger. And now I'm a different person because I've learned from those things.
Growth. That's what growth looks
like.
Yeah,
is there room for that? Yeah, or you said this thing 10 years ago. You are pilloried for the rest of your life for this thing. And I'm not saying either way. I'm just asking that question.
No, and I think you're. I talk about Sam Harris a lot, but there was a quote from him that's saying, "We have to constantly be embarrassed by our past selves." Right. That's progress.
Right.
And this is not him, but what I'm saying is nobody can be right about everything all the time.
Right.
And if you're going to go around chopping off fucking heads when somebody makes a mistake, like I said, nobody's going to be left.
Right.
So how do we know that while not excusing truly dangerous bigotry or prejudice?
Right.
Or,
right.
Or
I mean, I was just thinking. I mean, I don't know if this thing is real, but jumping back in the time machine to the era of slavery, and I'm sure there were people that said well, yeah, I don't think black people should have the right to vote. I mean, they shouldn't be slaves. We should definitely free them.
Right.
But, give them the right to vote and all that. That's a little bit different, right?
And they thought they thought that it's funny, and it's just like people now who I think are kind of cowardly. They thought they were in the middle.
Right.
No, it doesn't be all the way over here. No slavery.
Or in the sense where they thought that was a progressive stance.
It is progressive,
right, and they like compared to the world that they were living into the environment that they were born in. They're like, Jesus Christ, like these are human beings, and we can't treat them like slaves. They should be free to live their lives.
Do you think it's possible to see? I wonder this, and I think that the answer is clear that it is possible. Do you think it's? I was going to say, do you think it's possible to live, like, to be born in a world where you have a nice, your dad seems nice, your mom seems nice, but you have 6 black slaves out in the field living in a shed out back? It's like, is it possible to be born into that world and be like bothered every single day by the fact that there are human beings in chains, or do you think we're just evolved to just slowly? Our brain just, whatever you're around becomes the norm.
Well, I think it's tough to say. I mean, the idea of, like, the boy raised by wolves kind of thing, right? He thinks he's a wolf and, like, acts like a wolf. I mean, that's like so much of who we are is the environment that we're brought up in.
Yeah, but I think we're learning, or we're trying to learn now to think outside of that. That's the idea of progress, is to go, okay, fuck my environment,
and that's how that progress works, right? Is that, like, we're, like, you and I were born in the 70s and the 80s, 1970s, 1980s. If we were born in the 1870s and the 1880s, like, everything about us physically and biologically being the same. Like, we may be predisposed to being progressive people, but that's based on the world that we lived in there.
Yeah,
like, what was that next step up?
I'm always trying to think as far ahead as I can possibly think. I'm always trying to think, like, what's so far out there that if you mention it now, even liberals will go, yeah, right.
Well, I think one of those things is vegetarianism.
Veganism? Or,
yeah.
I think so too. I wonder about it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the theory going around that, in 50 or 100 years, we're going to look back on ourselves now eating meat as the same way that we look back on people holding slaves.
I think so. Well, I think we'll always understand why humans did it in the beginning.
Right.
Like, I don't think we'll be like, whoa, those fucking
the guy
with the spear, the idiot who killed the, like...
Right. But in the sense of, like, I mean, and I don't know...
Once it wasn't a necessity anymore. You're still killing shit? You didn't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, senseless
but
suffering
I think we'll be
and
making meat in
violence
labs,
and
we've already produced a few. Once you can mass produce that, I think then that kind of answers itself slowly,
Right. But
I
then,
wonder what food will look like.
I mean, that's obviously just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
But to try to... But to try to project that and say, okay, what's the next big? I mean, that's not obviously not human rights, but it's an extension of that, right?
Because one day we're going to realize that morality goes beyond just fucking human beings,
right?
That there isn't this hierarchy of importance.
Or does it? I mean, that's a bigger question,
right?
I mean, because
anything that feels pain or feels fear. Then the idea is that the more pain you inflict upon it, or the more fear you instill in it, the more harm you're doing to it.
Sure.
A fucking cauliflower, nobody cares. As far as we know, there's absolutely no reason to be worried about that. Mowing the lawn, you're not. It's not genocide.
Oh, but what about you're killing a cockroach?
I was just thinking that because I said mowing the lawn, it's not genocide. I'm like, you might be killing a lot of shit when you mow the lawn.
Right.
Well, you can't live like one of the Janes or whatever they're called and never kill anything. But
right.
Do you know what I think? And it's never going to be something the whole world pushes for. Because there aren't as many as there are homosexuals. This is funny. It's going to sound, but this is the idea of this. Is going to sound batshit insane today, and I bet in 1,000 years they're going to be like, oh yeah, that was. We argue for homosexuality, for the rights of homosexuals to do what they want to do, get married, whatever. And I've asked a lot of people this. I may have talked to you about this. I was like, what about incest? And everyone's like, well, yeah, but the baby will be. And I'm like, what if it's two brothers? There's no baby. And they're like, yeah, but that's just wrong. And I go, how's it wrong? And they're like, well, yeah, but it just was wrong. And I'm like, but how's it wrong? All it is about right now is consent. They're both of age. They're consenting adults.
It's weird because
it's a weird one because it makes me go, but I'm like, wait a minute.
I mean, if you look at human history on a whole, we've actually gone the other direction. I mean, it wasn't but like a couple hundred years ago when it was no thing for somebody to marry.
Do you think it's culturally conditioned, or do you think it's a natural thing?
No, it's definitely culturally conditioned. I mean, it wasn't but like a couple hundred years ago that it wasn't out of the ordinary to marry like your second cousin or even your cousin.
Yeah.
But now that is completely like, oh my God, you married your cousin? Like that is like imagine marrying your cousin right now. Just think about like a female cousin that you have.
I can't even picture second cousins, so it's easier.
What's that?
I can't even picture any second cousins, so it's easier. But first cousins freaks me out for sure.
Right, and I mean, and you know, several hundred years ago, and largely throughout history, that was not at all a controversial
thing. About a small community where there are not a lot of options, and there's a second or third cousin at the that's the farthest out it gets, you know.
Right. Well, and it was a sort of thing of like, you know, it's kind of it keeps the wealth in the family kind of thing. It was just sort of like, you know,
keeps everything in the family.
Everything. Right. But I agree, but that's funny because that's one of those like conservative slippery slope arguments against legalizing gay marriage. Like, well, next thing you know, people are going to want to marry their sisters and marry their typewriters.
Well, they say
whatever,
like animals too.
There's the animals are. It's like no one's using a typewriter. But I did see a video where like
old. Now they're fucking their PCs. They don't use a typewriter anymore.
I did see a video where like
typewriter's like the grandma of.
No, I saw a video where like this guy's like in love with cars and he has a fetish with cars and he's like smooching the headlight of. He says
what with the gas tank?
He was like his first love was a Volkswagen Beetle. And
good God! Every story you tell about yourself, you just go, "Yeah, I saw something about this guy."
Yeah. Hey, at least wasn't
this guy.
Yeah, at least I wasn't in love with the Volkswagen Beetle.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I always do try to think. It's hard though, man, because listen, you know, it's kind of the same thing. But my father's cousin Dave passed away from cancer probably like 6 years ago.
And he was the one that you were in love with?
Yeah, so it could never be. No, but I was talking to him when he was sick, and it's now you're making me sad because it was like a Romeo and Juliet deal thing.
Right.
Yeah, just forbidden love, you know. No, but he was talking to me when he was sick, and you know, he's laying there and he's been through chemo and everything. He doesn't have much time left, and he says, he's like, you know, I don't know. Okay, so first off, let me just preface this with, I don't think this is scientifically accurate entirely. But he said, I think people could prevent having cancer, or we could live in a way where you didn't get it as often. He's talking about mass-produced stuff, and you know what I mean, things like that. I don't want to demonize GMOs because I'm not in that camp, but he was saying, but to make the changes necessary, you would look like a weirdo.
Yeah.
And so you kind of stick with the herd. Now, I think cancer, I don't have a huge understanding of it, but I do think it's somewhat natural. Yeah. I don't think it's always because of the ozone or your food. Those things can hurt it or hurry it up or increase your chances. But I happen to think it's just something that's happened to life forever.
Right.
But the idea that there are things we could all be better at right now, but nobody wants to step the fuck away from the herd, is very real. And I think is that not the biggest obstacle that progress faces all the time? I feel like it always is. You know what I mean? Like hunting. No. You know, like nobody... Dude, where I work, if you walk into my office and go, I'm a vegan, you're getting made fun of by 10 guys there.
Sure. Yeah.
I love these guys. Not the most philosophical crew. Some of them are. Some of them are really sharp guys. But it's just immediately, oh, you're a bitch. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just that fucking... That Biff Tannen fucking... Right.
Well, I've always been fascinated by the connection between masculinity and eating meat. I have friends who I was vegan for a while, and I said, hey, I'm gonna make some food. You want something? Oh, I don't eat that vegan stuff. That's for pussies. Like
I make jokes like that all the time too, but I don't care. Really.
But it's like well, you eat French fries, don't you?
I think
French fries are vegan.
I think that what rubs people the wrong way is it seems annoying.
Right.
But is it really annoying, or is it just something new that's... You know what I mean? Are they really being obnoxious, or does it just seem that way?
Some are. I mean, like,
I'm definitely...
Yeah, I'm friends with somebody on Facebook who is constantly posting videos of, like, animals getting slaughtered.
Oh, yeah.
And is like, how can you keep doing this? And all of you out there who are eating meat and wearing leather...
But, Scott, maybe that person's right.
No,
maybe they're not doing anything obnoxious. That's what I'm saying. Maybe we're just like, shut up.
Right.
Keep it down in the back. And they're like, how are we murdering animals? You're annoying. Like,
yeah.
That's society. Like,
right. Well, and
it's such a gradual change.
Yeah. I saw this one video of this guy talking about, like, are we really natural meat eaters? I mean, like, if somebody put you in a room with a pig, what would you do with it? How would you kill it? And what would you like? You know?
Just because we've all been programmed into not prepping our own meat doesn't mean
Right.
we wouldn't all.
Right.
fucking fish and cut its head off and cook it in the same.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's not
Yeah.
bad. But I don't want to go walk up and take a bite out of a cow.
Right.
None of it looks appetizing.
Well, no, because you.
Does any of our food look appetizing in its natural state?
Yeah.
Fruits, maybe veggie,
Yeah,
brightly colored.
I mean, I don't know how to. I can grow a tomato, and that's pretty much it. But
That's literally like all you can do with your life.
Yeah, I mean, but
grow
it's
it.
like saying, like, I don't know how to grow soybeans, so it's like, so I guess I can't eat tofu because I don't know how to grow soybeans.
Yeah, it's obnoxious and stupid. It's stupid. Yeah.
But I mean, I think that maybe is something that in the future we look back on as ourselves now. But I think that's that framework, and that's where I was kind of getting at with, like, whether it's James Gunn or whatever. It's like we're on this ladder where we're progressing, and who knows if we're like progressing towards the right thing or not. But
Well,
we're
I think we're trying to get there.
yeah, we're like climbing up this ladder every generation or so, right?
Yeah.
Building upon what the generations of us.
Well, I said it the other day.
You know?
I think it's almost like mankind gets a bike. He gets on the bike. He uses it the wrong way. He falls down. He figures it out. He gets back up. Now he's got a bike he can use. Same. That's how progress looks.
And then his son comes along and figures out how to make a motorcycle.
Something better, right? But that's how progress looks. You get this idea. Wait a minute. We should treat women like equals across the board. We get the idea. We take it. We abuse the fuck out of it. We start fires where there, or we scream fire when there's no fire. But a lot of the time there is a fire. And then we slowly figure it out. And then one day, hopefully, men and women are equal. Let's work on the next one. You know what I mean?
Right,
and I just think you stumble. And any people, any naysayers, when you stumble, are going to point at it and go, see, obviously it's too far. But it's we're just figuring it out. At least they're trying, you know?
Yeah. And I think the thing with James Gunn is like I was kind of hinting at before, is like, how does that affect his performance as a director? Is he, those kind of things?
Well,
do
I
they,
think things
do they
have gotten
affect?
a lot safer. I like. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like Guardians 2. Did you see the Guardians?
I'm not a big Marvel fan.
I like the first Guardians. Yeah, but
these.
these are like I'm not. I know you roll your eyes when I say it's not like the standard ones. There are some. Logan's not like a standard one.
I watched that one.
You thought that was just same shit? No way.
It was okay. Yeah. It was okay.
But Guardians is more like a space cowboy kind of thing, like a Han Solo, but like bubblegum Han Solo. I noticed that he got a lot more, just like golly gee with everything. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But that's okay.
I mean, for me, it's like what those movies all have in common. For me, that doesn't
white
really
people
interest
just
me.
millions and millions of white people.
Yeah, is that they don't seem to really tackle any.
They don't
go to any issues. It's like they really don't have anything to say philosophically.
I agree. Well, Winter Soldier, I thought did. Did you ever see that one with the Robert Redford one with the America spying on people before? It was like they had gone out and then it's like they almost had made a real movie for a minute. But I actually liked that one. I saw it with Dean and I was like, that's a smart, good movie.
Right.
But it was just like a spy movie that happened to have a superhero in it. But I feel like people think like you're being, don't be a hater. Like if you don't like this shit, it's just like fast food to me, dude. Like it's good fast food. It's like the perfect McDonald's sandwich, but I don't need 40 of them, you know?
Right.
And like, you're right. Like I was thinking about this with Marvel the other day. DC tries and fails. They're trying these ambitious philosophical ideas like fucking Batman vs Superman, Gods and Man, but they just stumble and it's clumsy. Marvel is so, I was thinking, of all the Marvel movies I've seen, I asked myself, have I ever been surprised once by anything I've seen? And I'm like, I can't remember a single time when I went, whoa, bold move there.
Right.
Wow. Because every time they backed themselves into a corner, they got out. Every time someone died, they came back. Every time, it was just
I saw
like a flat line.
I saw the Infinity War one where like half the cast dies at the end.
And, but nobody felt any.
Well, and I know that they're going to do some sort of time travel. One of the stones to travel through time, and they're going to bring everybody back, and they're going to eat shawarma afterwards.
I don't want to say they all suck because some of them I like, but
I think they're great movies, and it was like I was saying before with my film is like those Marvel movies aren't made for me. I'm not the target audience. I'm not the person because I'm just not predisposed to like that kind of film.
I thought I was. I grew up wanting to see superhero stuff, but I always want. But dude, the superhero stuff I loved had heart. It had
Yeah,
a fucking
yeah.
Marvel movies have some heart. I'll say that they're all like charismatic people together, but
Yeah.
there's no weight.
But
There's
I mean,
no fucking
that's
weight,
but it's
man.
it's almost it's like the same thing every time. It's like, oh, can we overcome the obstacles? And it's like, okay, but is there something else? Is there something else to be said?
I want to
or
see
is
the
it the
fate
sort
of
of
the,
the
I want to see the
same-
world not be at stake.
Right.
You know, well, look, can we back up real quick? It's a topic change before we're
Well,
before we're done.
before we leave Marvel, I just want to say that I did Steadicam on Deadpool musical #2,
Which
That's
was
out
cool,
right now on
which I
YouTube.
saw. I don't think you showed that to me. Maybe you sent me the link. We watched that Deadpool. If you guys haven't seen it, check out the Deadpool musical part 2. It's
Yeah,
Julian,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
director.
Julian Higgins. Yeah.
It was weird seeing Julian Higgins' name on there, and then Scott Baker's name, and then 2 of my friends in the cast. I was like watching this thing. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
I
Jen,
know all
Jen
these
and
people.
Casper. yeah.
I was like, it was just at their wedding. Yeah, I was like, it was kind of weird watching. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, no,
that's
that was as a Steadicam operator, I'd say that's probably the most fun I've ever had on
Yeah,
set work
it was
on a
cool.
project. You
an hour
like,
and 10.
wrap this.
All right. Well,
shindig
yeah.
up.
Well, we hope we talked you all into being really depressed and.
Yeah, I think that was a good show.
We hate
I feel good
Marvel.
about it.
Scott's movie got bad reviews. And,
Yeah.
we cry ourselves to sleep all the time because of
Right,
how we
yeah.
look.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with some old fashions and maybe
Yeah.
bring in a guest or two.
Yeah. Well, let's get somebody. We have the other. We have
Yes,
the mics.
I mean,
up.
I think you've pretty much said everything interesting that you have to say. So bring somebody else
I'm
in.
probably good for
to-
like a year.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, I mean-
But we have one more of these, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Kristen has one more.
Sweet,
The exact one.
the exact one.
Yeah, I'm pointing at the mic, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pointing at the mic. I'm pointing. Sorry.
I have to get the little circle.
I think they call them Larry screens. They're just for people who are
spit
slow.
guard thingies or, yeah, DSers.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah,
We
well,
love you.
Exciting adventures in the old-fashioned Hollywood podcast.
Ah.
So, so long and farewell.